In this video, I'm going to go over some of the changes and or expectations for summer school in Edgenuity this year. Uh, Basically, there are not a lot of changes. If you did summer school last year, it's going to be very similar. If you were in My School Online this year, it's going to look similar, but there are some differences that I want to go over. So I want to start out with what are your expectations as a summer school teacher uh, using Edgenuity? You're there as a facilitator. You're not expected to know all of the subject matter. You're there to help the student move on and finish the course. All of these students should have already had a version of the course that they are retaking for credit recovery. So you're not there to teach them, if you will, the course. That doesn't mean you can't help them if they need help, but that's not your role. What paperwork is required? In the email that you're going to be receiving that this video is a part of, you will see a student form and a teacher form. Every student should have this form filled out. You should keep a copy with you and also give a copy to your guidance office. And the teacher form you sign and send back to me, Brandon McSween, at Carver Hill, and you send this in the courier. And I just keep this on file. All right, so how do I log in to Edgenuity from home or school? You go through ClassLink. I'm going to exit here real quick. And the same way you've been doing it this year, you just find the Edgenuity Educators app and you click on it. You should not have to log in. It should take you directly in. You do want to make sure, number one, it has your name in the upper right, and number two, it has your school here. And it should be your school. If it says My School Online because you are a My School Online teacher, you want to click on that, and it'll bring up all the list of the schools that you are associated with, which should be probably no more than 2, and you just click on that other school. So this will actually be your home school where you're doing summer school. It will not be My School Online anymore. All right. So what do the courses look like? How are they different? Because I know some of the issues we've had is, well, we have these CR and we have these non-CR and we have these My School Online courses. You won't have that during the summer. I archive all courses before summer school begins, and the only courses that will show for you will be summer intensive studies courses. Let me show you what they're going to look like. I'm actually in Baker Middle School. Even though Baker does have middle school students, this is a school that doesn't exist, so it's not associated with Baker. I just use it to do videos. But you'll see that all of these courses have the course name, number and name, then say CR for credit recovery, and then summer 2021. This will be what all of the summer school courses look like at whatever school you are at, because I will archive all of the current courses so that these will be the only ones that you see. Just like last year, you do not have to add students to schools or add students to Edgenuity. It should be an automatic upload. Now, in My School Online, there was a delay because, let's say, the student schedule changed on Monday and they showed up in your pause on Monday. It could take 24 hours for them to appear. And that's if the school put them in the My School Online homeroom. But I'm going to show you what to do in case a student doesn't appear. I'm going to give you the steps. So here are all the students, quote unquote, that I have showing in Baker's Middle School for me. But I noticed on my list that I'm looking for a student called Dr. Driver, and he's not here. So the first thing I want to do is click Archived. When I do that, I see Dr. Driver was archived, so I just click the box next to his name. I go here to More, and I click Enable. It says you want to enable the student account. You do. So now, when I go back and look at students, and sometimes it takes just a second, you see now Dr. Driver is there. If you cannot find the student in the archive or the active, or for some reason the archive doesn't work for you, all you have to do is email me the name of that student saying, hey, I've got this student on my roll, they're not showing Edgenuity, and I can add that for you almost immediately. The only time that I cannot do it if it's a brand new student or returning student to the district. It does take 24 to 48 hours for that student's account to become active or be reactivated. All right. You do, even though you don't have to add students, you do have to add courses. Now, this is going to be the same way you did it in My School Online if you're a My School Online teacher, or in summer school last year. But I want to show you, I'm going to go through it real quickly. The first thing you want to do is create a group. So I'm going to go here to Manage User Groups, and I want to go to User Groups, and I want to add. I'm going to add an SIS group. And I'm typing with one hand for those of you who need a good laugh. I managed to trip over a network cable at Choctaw before graduation streaming and managed to break my wrist. Yes, please laugh because I did. And so I'm typing one-handed here. So SIS group. And you can call it what you want. You can make the description what you want, or you can leave the description blank. So I'm going to click Save there. All right, so now I want to go back to my Manage Students, and I'm going to find all of these students that I want to add to my group. So I just click the box next to their name. Now you're obviously going to have more, so you can do it one at a time by searching, or you can go down here and change this to 200 and go 200 at a time. And over here, I want to add to group. I don't have to because it's right there. So add to group. I want to make sure that I choose the correct group here. And I hit the plus symbol. And these 7 students have been submitted to add to your group. All right, so now it may take just a second, but I'm going to go back to my Manage User Groups. I want to make sure that they actually went through. And there they are. So they're in there. Now this is where it's different than My School Online. To add a course, used to you could just go and add it to the group. Well, you're going to have so many different courses that these students are making up. You're going to want to add them individually. So for example, I want to add to Dr. Driver. Even though I can just click on them here, I'm going to show you what you would do. You just click. You can search by either their username or their last name. I find it very easy to search by their username for students because students with dual or hyphenated last names can get a little bit difficult to find. All right, so then you just, once you find the student you're looking for, you click on the blue hyperlink, which is their name, and you go up here to Add Course. Now, where do I get the list of courses that the students need? You get that from your front office, probably your guidance office. And you only put in the courses that they have sent you a formal request for. So for example, let's say this student needs 6th grade English, first semester. They need to do that. I can go up here, I can go Language Arts, I can go 6th grade, and I can hit Search. And A is always first semester, B is always second semester. So I knew it's first semester. I click the box next to the name, and I add to the selected course. It shows me what I want to do. I want to make sure it's right. It is. And I hit Submit, and I go back to courses. Now you see this is the courses that are associated with Dr. Driver, and I now have that course right there. So that's how you add a course to your group, or sorry, to your student. Don't do it the way you did with My School Online where you added a course to a group, because you need to do this individually. All right, so you'll do this for all of your students as they come in. During the day, most of what you're going to be doing is, again, monitoring the students where they're at, because they can do some of the things at school and they can do some of the things at home. Now, this is still a face-to-face, but the district policy for Edgenuity allows a student to also work on their own time away from your classroom. They can do everything away from your classroom with the exceptions of the unit tests and the final exam. Those have to be done in class, and those are things that you will unlock for a student. Student will tell you, hey, I need this looked at so I can go on to my unit test. Until you unlock it, they cannot move on. All right, so let me show you, we'll come back to that briefly. I want to show you, once the course is built, some of the intricacies of how the course is built. So I'm going to go up to a course here, and I'm going to go into the edit course options. All right, so just like your class, all passing thresholds have been set to 60, and here's what's weighted. And this is the same for every credit recovery course. It's 30% for quizzes, 50% for tests, 20% for exams. Now again, tests and exams must be done at school. Quizzes can be done at home, as can all these assignments or any other additional work. They are allowed to save and exit on quizzes. What this means is if they're working on it and they have to leave, they can save and exit, but it will hide any when they come back, they can start on that quiz exactly where they're at. They will not be able to see any previous questions. So it will allow them to save but not see what they've already answered. Same thing for tests, same thing for the exam. This automatic progression means that you no longer have to send a student on. Students are allowed 2 fail attempts on assignments. The same thing is for quizzes and tests. You do not have to send them on. For example, they're on a quiz and they make a 50 and a 55. The program will send them on to the next part of that assignment. You do not have to go in and send them on there. That just makes it a little bit easier for you. Let's see. Here's where we talk about the teacher review. You have to do the exams, that's the final exam, and the unit tests. Students can see the guided notes. And here's another difference between these courses and the MySchool Online courses. A pre-test is checked off for the student. So that means that before every section, they get a pre-test. And if they make a 70 on certain sections of that pre-test, those sections in that unit are removed. They're assumed to have done mastery on that. All right. This shows the limits of times, and again, you can go in and change these on an individual student basis, but right now they've got 60 minutes, 2 hours for tests, and 3 hours for the final exam. The start date is whatever date you put them in. The end date is the target date is the last day of summer school, 7/9, so their progress will be based on that information. So here's what makes everything unique for a student when they do a credit recovery course is this initial prescriptive test. This is different than the pre-test before each unit. This is the first thing that a student will take when they're in a credit recovery course. They'll take this prescriptive test. They have 3 hours to take it, and it works the same as this pre-test, but it covers the entire course. So for every section that they score a 70 or higher on it, they don't have to do that section. It will still be in the final, but they, for those of you who remember, CLEP out of that. Back when we used to have CLEP. There's again, seen as showing mastery of a 70 or higher on that, so they don't have to do that. So that's how the courses are set up. And each course is set up the exact same way. So the things that you're going to have to open up for them are those unit tests and that final exam. Most of the time, students will let you know when they're ready for you to unlock that final exam or that unit test. I'm going to show you how to do that and a way you can see it. But I do want to mention one thing. The unit tests, again, have a 2-hour time limit, and that final exam has a 3-hour time limit. You want to make sure before you unlock it that they've got enough time to finish it in your presence. Don't unlock it and then they take it at home, because that's a violation of the summer school Edgenuity form that the students sign. We don't want to give them that temptation. So you want to make sure that they've got enough time to finish that unit test or that final exam. I'm going to actually go to My School Online because there's no students at Baker, and I'm going to show you a quick way to see who's waiting on something to be opened. And hopefully there'll be somebody in My School Online. There's not, so I'm going to go to Crestview, my other school that I used to work at. All right, so some of you have seen this, and this is for every student. This little blue box that says there are some reviews waiting to be completed. So I'm going to click on this, and it's going to bring up anybody currently associated with my school that needs something opened. So I click on it, and I see there are 4 people. And to find out if I see, oh, this person's my student, Gabrielle's my student. So I'm going to click on her name there, and it's going to take me. Gabrielle actually needs a bypass. Now, you won't have to do this because your courses are set where they don't have to open the quiz. So let me go back and we'll go to another one here. Tony's also our student here. Here we go. And Tony is needing her unit test unlocked. You can see here because it says unlock activity. Now, before you unlock it, which will allow her to take it, you want to check this review beforehand. You want to make sure that the student is ready to take that test. You also want to ask them to show you any notes that they've taken. Best practices say that a student should be taking notes on the course that they're working in so that they can review the material before they take this unit test. So if you think the student is ready by looking at that, you can click unlock activity. Now you want to make sure that you're actually on that unit test. You see when I click on it, it's still got the gold outline, but it's in blue. And you want to click unlock activity, and you can just hit submit. Let's say they're not ready. You think that they need to redo that unit review because they rushed through it. They only spent 5 minutes on it, and they're really not ready for it. You can click on the unit review or any other material beforehand, and you can reset that activity. You can type whatever reason. You can say not ready, and you hit reset. When you do that, that makes them go back and redo that review before coming back to the same screen again for you to unlock the activity. All right, so that's the only things that you're going to have to unlock, which is the unit test and or the final exam. Now, the other thing that you can do is you can, if a student on a unit test or even the final exam, you shouldn't have to, because for unit tests and final exams, same as quiz, there's 2, as I showed you earlier, 2 fail attempts built in. So that means if they don't pass it the first time, they can retake it a second time. There's nothing you have to do on that. But let's say that they've already taken it a couple of times. This is future me. I couldn't find anyone on that screen who was waiting for a retake, so I had to go find somebody else. And you can actually give a retake for a quiz. You can give a retake for the unit test. Like I said, you should not, unless there's a technical issue, give a retake for the final, because it's already built in to have 2, and that's the maximum we allow. Now, if there is a technical issue, we'll get on what to do on that. But for example, this student is ready. They're possibly wanting a retake for their quiz. They've made a 30 and a 40, so we don't think they've mastered it yet. So all we have to do, you see again, quiz, it's highlighted in gold, and you just want to say, I want to add a retake. And you want to do this one at a time. I wouldn't do more than one. And hit submit. And that will allow the student to go over that one more time so that they can feel better on mastery. Now, this is up to you because it will move the student on automatically. And most of the time, they won't say, I want to retake. But if you're monitoring them and you think that they need that, obviously, this is something that you can do. All right, speaking of monitoring, let me go back up to my little middle school here. There we are, Baker Middle School. I'm going to show you different ways to monitor. The first way is to look at your dashboard. It's going to bring up all of the students. Now, you can filter here. You can filter to students, making sure the student status is enabled. That way you see just active students. You want to pull up your group. So for example, I want to pull up my SIS group, hit apply, and it brings up those people. And why is it only showing me 2? Well, it's only showing me 2 because I only have 2 people that are active. They're actually in courses right now. But that way you've got that SIS group. But let's make it all so I can see some more students. All right. So when you do this, if you've got your group pulled up, these little markers show you things. For the red means you click on that. They're looking for a review or a retake, something going on in here. And you click on this and it's going to take you to them. There's also potentially a yellow. Here we go. Yellow means they're needing something that requires you to score it. I'm going to pull up this particular student's. All you have to do is click review. And it'll go over here saying if they need to score it. This means that there's a score pending. So we can go up here to momentum and click. And it's a short writing assignment. We scroll down and we can click view here. Let me move this in so that you can see. And here's where you can look at the file that they've submitted, and you can give a score for that. Now, that does not keep the student from going on. The student can still go on even if you don't do that. What it will cause occasionally is a student who's finished the course, but because these are outstanding, they'll only show about 99% done. That's okay. If you need me to go in and look at that, I will gladly do that for you, but that's why it does show that. They're waiting on a score for that. But so that's the dashboard. And again, you want to make sure it's filtered for you, and you're looking for anything that has an outstanding need, like the red exclamation mark or that yellow symbol. Okay, some other things that you can look at. Unlike My School Online, you can actually do some reports here. And I would recommend a couple of things. Let's start with attendance log. Attendance log, you can pull up your group, and what it's going to show you is how much time they've spent in Edgenuity every day. And this gives you a good idea. It goes hours, minutes, and seconds. Even if a student just logs in, it's going to show you session time. It's going to show you that they're there. So they're like, I worked all day on Saturday, but there's nothing here. They did not log into Edgenuity on Saturday, because even if they logged in and did nothing, it would still show this in the session log. So this is a good thing to have. Another thing that you can look at is the group progress. Now with this, there are a few things to fill in. I would do nothing more than the start date. I would not put an end date in. The more you actually put into here, it'll start limiting the information you see. So I would put the start date. We'll just say it's a student for this year. Your group here, SIS group. You don't worry about classes. You can either do it by course or by student. I would probably do it by course, or excuse me, by student. Leave this as latest. It does give you no more options there. And you want to make sure it's active courses and active students. And then you click search. Now, it's probably not going to show me much. It's going to show me my geometry course that I gave myself that I'm doing nothing in. But when you do this, and you can export this to Excel, I would recommend looking at this multiple times during the week, and I would export to Excel and save me a file every week that I can give to my administration. This is going to show you the percent of time. You're not as concerned with that. You are concerned with the percent count. This is the percent of the number of activities, tests, exams, labs, and other parts of the course that they're done with. It's also going to show you the different grades, the relative, which we don't use, the overall, and the actual. So it will show you all of those grades. Now, since relative grade is on here, I do want to tell you there is a time in summer school, and you may never have to deal with this, but I want to at least bring it up to show you why we use relative grade. If at the end of summer school you've got a student, let's say that they're 95% done, but they did not finish the course. We can look at their relative grade. What the relative grade does is it takes all unfinished assignments and gives them a 0 on it. If they are passing at the end of summer school with that relative grade, which is rare but can happen, they can still receive credit for that course. But that would be the only time you look at relative grade. So those are two really good reports that I would look at, and definitely you should use your dashboard. So what do you do if you have issues? Well, you can always email me. I'll be working all summer, and I do try to email back fairly quickly, but there are a couple of things that I want to talk about. If a student cannot access Edgenuity, that's an email to me. That means that they're probably either archived or showing at another school, or it's possible that they've changed their email address or the username, and their account is associated with a previous username. We get this when a student has a name change or something like that. If you can't access, that's an email to me, and I can normally fix that fairly quickly. If a student is stuck on an assignment, let's say that they're in a video assignment and it won't let them go on. Most of the time, that is due to them not answering every question, but it can also just be a technical issue that there's just a little hang up there. You have the option to reset that assignment or bypass it. I would recommend the first time to have the student clear their browser history. And to do that, let me show you. Just go up here, 3 dots, click history, and then click history again, and clear that browser data. And then I would have them try it again. Most of the time, this will solve the issue. If a student was almost at the end, you can always just bypass that assignment and go on. Or you can email me, and what I will do is I'll go in as a student and try to figure out what the issue is. What you should also do, and this will be in the email that I'm sending you, an email address for the Edgenuity Help Desk. You always want to make sure that you let them know. You can email them that information, but you can also do this. If you pull up that student, let's say the student's having an issue with the physical science, and It's this right here. It's stuck. You can go over here and click Report an Issue. It pulls in your name and your email address. You can add the phone number if you want. It's got a drop down menu for whatever's happening. I need an explanation. Answer is incorrect. Web link is broken. Typo, any other things or other. And you just type in what the issue is here and hit OK. And it'll submit to that Edgenuity help desk. Now, I will tell you that they're occasionally slow on returning these back during summer, but they will return them. And I would highly recommend doing this for any time a student gets stuck on an assignment or you find an error in the assignment. That doesn't mean that you can't let me know as well, and I will gladly help you out in any way. If it is a technical issue, as in you don't have any internet, the device is not connecting, there's a strange error message on the page, that's normally an email or a phone call to Teleforce. You can always look on the device and you see there's a Teleforce asset tag that's got the phone number on there. They're also in the universal email as the OCSD help desk. And you can always email them and they will help with that. Now, there is one error message I want to talk about because you can have them fix this really, really quickly. Sometimes when they're trying to get into ClassLink, they'll get an error message that says the header is too large. It occasionally happens. All they have to do is clear their browser history. When they clear their browser history, it'll allow them into ClassLink and then into Edgenuity. All right, so that's how you report the issues. If you have any other questions, you can always send them to me. I'm here to try to make this as simple and as easy as possible. And those who've gone through summer school before know that it's not a bad thing. It can be a very easy process for you. But I wanted to at least give a bit of training for those of you who may not have done this for a while, though I think with the list that I've seen that most of you are pros at this and have done this for multiple times. But you always can email me or call me if you've got a question. All right, thank you and have a great day and a great summer.